Hello, sixth graders. Today we're going to go over reducing fractions, and you have an assignment on reducing fractions. But before we do that, I want to go over what Chapter 1 is all about and what we're doing for Chapter 1. So I'm going to leave my PowerPoint for a minute here, and I'm going to jump over to Chapter 1 in the digital book. As you can see, this chapter is on ratio and rates. You have 12 total chapters in this book. And again, if you click on the little dots when you're in your digital book on the top left corner, and you open up Chapter 1, really, I look for the lesson titles here. So Lesson 1 is on factors and multiples. That's what we worked on already. Lesson 2 is on ratios. Lesson 3 is on rates, ratio tables, graphing ratio tables, equivalent ratios, and ratio and rate problems. Some of the issues we're going to come into doing social distancing school is things like graphing might be a little bit tougher than we would be able to do in person. But this whole chapter is ratio and rates. There's 7 lessons. When we're done with the 7 lessons, we'll do a chapter review, and then we will take a quiz or a test. But we've got weeks before we get there. So we were working already on factors and multiples, and the next lesson is on ratios. But before we get into that, there is a skill you need. You need to be able to reduce fractions. In order to get into ratios, before we talk about ratios, we have to make sure everybody knows how to reduce a fraction, because that's something that's going to come up in the next lesson. So as I wrote here, in order to reduce ratios to the simplest form, which we will work on in our next book lesson, you'll have to be able to reduce fractions. So quick vocab reminder. The top of the fraction is called the numerator. The bottom is called the denominator. The numerator represents part of a whole, and the denominator represents the whole. So if you have 1/4, that means that there's something broken into 4 pieces, like a pizza cut into 4 slices, and you've got one of them, 1 out of 4. A lot of this is something you should have worked on a lot in 5th grade, is my hope. So we're just going to focus today on how to reduce a fraction. First, some fractions reduce, but others do not. It depends on if they have a GCF, a greatest common factor. And a greatest common factor is a number that goes into both the top of the fraction, the numerator, and the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. So on this little chart I put here, 3/12, 3 goes into 3, 3 goes into 12. The GCF is 3. 14/49, 7 goes into 14, 7 goes into 49. The GCF is 7. And 52/130, that's a tough one, but 26 does go into both those numbers. So let me break it down real simple on how you go from a fraction to a reduced fraction. So first you determine if there's a GCF. I'm going to use 4/14 as my example, and there is a greatest common factor. It's 2. 2 is the largest number that goes into both 14 and 4. So second, you divide both the numerator, the top, and the denominator, the bottom, by that greatest common factor. So again, we're looking at 4/14. The GCF was 2, the factor that went into both 4 and 14. So we go 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. The reduced fraction is now 2/7. Again, all we did was find a fraction, 4/14, determine that the greatest common factor was 2, and we divided both the top and the bottom by that number. What if there is no great common factor other than 1? So like 7 and 33, 7/33. 1 is the only number that goes into both 7 and 33, so that's it. That's already reduced. The reduced fraction is 7/33. So we're going to do 3 examples from your worksheet. So this is from your actual assignment today. First example is 6/21. First, determine the GCF, which is 3. 3 goes up both in the 6 and 21. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. The answer is 2/7. Again, we found out that 3 went into both 6 and 21, and we divided both the top and the bottom by 3. Oh, I don't know why that one didn't download. So we're going to jump to question 3. 14/18. Greatest common factor is 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And 18 divided by 2 is 9. Factor is 7/9. So we went back a slide. I was having a problem with my PowerPoint. Question number 2, we'll do last example. You have 9/18. Greatest common factor of 9 and 18 is 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. And 18 divided by 9 is 2. The answer is 1/2. What you have today is an assignment. It's a worksheet this time, and it's all on reducing fractions. If you look on the left of your screen here, there's actually 30 questions this time on reducing fractions. This is a skill that you'll have to have in order to jump into the next lesson, which is on ratios. And this is a skill, hopefully, that was covered in 5th grade. There's an answer key posted. So again, you just write your answers on the answer key. You type them in. And a quick note about that, there is not a great way on a Google Doc to make this really nice numerator, top of the fraction, over the denominator, bottom of the fraction. There's not a great way to do that. So you can just put a slash in. So if the answer to number 1 is 3/4, you would just take 3/4. And I'm going to leave an example with the correct answer on your actual answer key. So number 1 will be done for you. All right, guys, if you have questions, as always, come to the meet. Otherwise, you feel free to email, and you won't need your book for this lesson. This lesson is a posted worksheet with a posted answer key, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.